episode of Medusa 2. Medusa 2 stands for four main concepts, a combined fusion of the first M being meridians, as in the formatting, which is ASMR, so meridians. The second being meditations, meditations as in Stoicism and Stoic philosophy, derived from Marcus Aurelius Epictetus. The third being Medusa from mythology, so Roman Greek mythology, and the fable of the unfortunate downfall of Medusa into a snake due to misfortune and the betrayal of those she had worshipped. And then the fourth M being manifestation, which is the continuous development and transformation and growth of this project. And so Medusa 2 is the most recent evolution of what used to be a slice of life, a slice of real life, the Arrow Project, Project Zero. And once again, we've cut down the formatting, the scheduling a little bit, so I should say that roughly on a weekly basis, we release only one episode per week, and we've been doing this for at least half a year now, every Friday morning at around 6 to 6:30 a.m. in the morning. And you can see our podcast episodes, our video episodes, or not yet, or we used to do live streams, but we cut that down for now temporarily. It's for at least a couple years now we haven't done any live streams, but it's a multimedia format, so it comes in episodes of podcasting on Spotify, videos on YouTube, as well as live streams on Twitch, and expanding to other platforms as is needed to continue the objectives and development and the growth and ambitions and just the overall fun entertainment and hobbyist ambitions and goals of this project. So the intention for Slice of Life was to be listened on a daily basis, at that time, to a semi-daily basis every other day in the mornings on your commute to work as is convenient. There's no obligation, just whenever you have spare 10 minutes of time. But going forward, Medusa 2 and in Medusa 2 we're in series 12, so it's Retribution. Season 12 Retribution. We only release one episode per week, and the length is cut down to maybe about 10 to 15 minutes, which is good, but we want to shorten things further down going forward, and it will be expressed through a different format as well. So look forward to that over the next month or so. I hope to roll that out before December, but we'll see how things work out. With that being said, without further ado, the continuation of today's topic from the past episode. The previous episode, we covered an old model of my Samsung Galaxy Android phone. And on that Android phone, what we were trying to do, we're just talking about security vulnerabilities. So in terms of cyber attacks and malware and so on and so forth, one thing that you can do to decrease the risk that you may be subjected to on your mobile devices is to remove any of these applications that are outdated or those that you don't use that carry permissions that you don't need. And so what we did in the previous episode is we covered iPhone on the top. My left is your right, that I was trying to remove because some of those applications have been on my oldest phone for maybe 5 or 6 years. And at the time I had wanted to explore, but I hadn't found the time given the crisis situation that I was been embroiled in. I went basically like homeless and shelter, and so I didn't have the time to divest time into the exploration of all these technological, developments. And I wanted to spend some time to learn about, certain types of fitness and stretching and applications related to productivity and voice taking, note taking. I couldn't do very much of that, unfortunately, and many of the apps on that phone are out of date. And because they're outdated, they pose a risk. And so I've been removing them and have planned to for, not just for security reasons, but also because it saves space and data storage. And that's why I had really, really wanted to get to. So we're going to do that same topic for our second device in this episode. So I'm going to show you, this is the old phone from the previous episode. We used this device in the past episode, and then this phone here. So I can show you two. So here's the two devices. So this is the old one, and this is the newer one. And so what we're going to do here for this phone is we're going to run through, as you see on top left, this is a phone that I use on a daily basis as well, but it's much more active. I use this phone much more. And so we're just going to run through several apps that we're going to remove from this phone as well. And this one has actually a third purpose. The first reason is because I want to remove cybersecurity reasons. The second reason, of course, is to save space. Every time you move all these useless applications or apps that you don't want to use or that are outdated, it frees up a lot of space. I can tell you on that old phone, I could free up maybe about 500 megabytes, if not a full gigabyte, if not maybe 1 or 2 gigabytes of space. This phone, I use it on a daily basis, so I don't have that much space to spare. And this, I can remove probably about at least 300 to 500 megabytes only, so maybe about 3 to 5 apps. Now, in addition to that, so there's space storage and there's security vulnerabilities, but the third reason for getting rid of these apps would be because I have another app here that is dependent on space. In other words, what I use that app for is for scanning of documents. So legal documents, government documentation, applications, reporting, resume, employment, whatever, mail, even mail. So any sort of formal documentation or the paperwork that I need scanning that is printed out in hard copy that I want to transcribe into an electronic format and turn into PDF or turn into an image. I will usually use this phone to scan it. I don't use, we don't do old-fashioned photocopier. We don't go to the fax machine or anything of that sort. Although I can technically go to the public library, but I usually use my phone to scan documents. And so that saves a lot of time. But as you can imagine, the third reason is it takes up space. And so I have to free up space on my phone because I don't have very much space anymore left. And so we're going to run through some of the apps here just right now. Let's just get right to it. The first thing I can show you on the very top left is the screen. See that? And I think there are two apps here that I can remove. The first one, it says something about network utilities. That's network utilities. So that is actually a course dedicated to learning about IT, information technology. There's also another app here that I see may be worth deleting, and that is the one on, it says that Deep Web or Geeky Tools. Deep Web or Geeky Tools, one of them has to go, because at the end of the day, one of them is like a security scanning thing. It promotes itself as something that can scan your phone at a deeper level than most other antiviruses can. But at the end of the day, if I have an up-to-date, very multinational conglomerate, such as, for example, Kaspersky, ESET, McAfee, or Bitdefender, or Norton, there's really not that much need for something like that, because nowadays the security solutions out there are vastly more impressive as a multinational corporation than they used to be in the 90s, when they could actually be outdone by smaller corporations like Malwarebytes. Independent projects oftentimes had a better edge because they were run by passion projects. But nowadays, our current multinational corporations are able to acquire, merge, and buy out those passion projects, or those passion projects just lack the funding. And or the third reason is that those passion projects have become multinational corporations themselves, like Kaspersky, Malwarebytes, and Kaspersky. Both of them have grown to become multinational, well-renowned cybersecurity solutions. And so as a result, there's no need for us to stick with something small game like this, which is developed by a single app developer or a small team, because it's very unlikely that they'll actually be able to perform better than, say, something that has that much funding and scale and scope and professionalism. And so two apps that get rid of from the screen. Okay. So the next one, it's right here. I think over here, once again, I is something that I usually keep on my phone, but I have no purpose for anymore, and that is a well-renowned app. Actually, it is Dropbox, and Dropbox obviously is a great productivity application that you can use for file storage and organization, as well as for the sharing of files with others in your life, you know. But the thing is, with Dropbox, it's good for group collaborations, you know, in a business setting, corporate setting, in your, you know, talking on Slack with your, or on Asana. It's like a project management tool or suite. Now, I don't use it because at the end of the day, I have a much better solution nowadays. It's been completely made irrelevant by the fact that Microsoft Office 365, so Microsoft Office, the MS Suite, offers a free full, if you have the subscription to a personal 365 Office, you can have about a terabyte worth of space, and that's more than enough for me. And so I don't have any purpose for Dropbox anymore. So we can get rid of that, and that will spare us at least another 100 bytes of space. The second thing that I can probably get rid of this is actually one thing down here. There's one app that has to do with banking. There's another app that has to do with not notes, but summaries. It's summary notes of books. And when I used to be into investing in things like ebooks and stuff like that, to digest more information from electronic sources, of transcribed formats of very high value books like, you know, Atomic Habits or the 4-Hour Work Week and stuff like that. And I never really got to that, so I just wanted a quick summary of the main key points of all those. Now, those are fairly, by this point, everyone knows those books. And it's like 5 years ago when there was a productivity boom and self-improvement boom. That was new, but now it's old stuff, it's old news. And many of these things, if I want a summary, I can simply just pop into, I can even go to Google Gemini or Bing Copilot and just ask AI for a summary, and it'll break it all down for me. And there's no longer any necessity or need or value or benefit to keeping apps here that give a book summary. So book summaries have been rendered, or book summary applications have been rendered largely redundant and unnecessary. So thanks to, once again, AI development. So we can put that to the side. Okay, and here's the last one. Okay. So the farthest left. And over here, this one, I think there's only one app I can remove of, if at all, and that may have to do with something that is related to Instagram, really. It's the IGTV app. So IGTV is apparently like a sister app to Instagram or IG, and I don't use even Instagram. I rarely use it. I only use it for the project. I don't use Instagram. And in terms of social media, I don't use Instagram very often at all, except for this project. And so having IGTV is very pointless, because that one is just like a framing. It's like a way to kind of like pretty up and do some editing, some more interesting editing. If you have any editing skills, graphics editing, you can use IGTV, but otherwise it's kind of pointless for someone like me. Which, once again, just like this phone and this older phone, both of these I once used to use for recording live streams as well as recording these episodes, but I don't do that anymore. I just use my laptop, and I have a new device as well. I have another mobile phone device that can do any sort of live streaming, which I haven't shown on these episodes yet. So as a result, it's all redundant, it's unnecessary, and 3 benefits: reduce the security vulnerabilities from cyber attacks. The second is to increase space and storage on my phone, and the third has to do with essentially the freeing up space. It's related to number 2, but so that I can scan documents, legal government document paperwork and mail as well. And that's something that I get done. So without further ado, I just want to say thanks for tuning in. And I should add, there's a little tip off for this phone here. I can't show it on this, I can't really show it here because I don't have it on my hand. It's like stored away somewhere. But I have 128 megabyte storage, little like Pexar chip that I can use. And I think I discussed this before in past episode that I want to install on this phone. Okay, or the next do it for me is that I can have a lot of space and I can scan as many documents as I need for work or for business or for freelancing or whatever I need to do. I'll have all the storage space that I'll need. I just want to touch upon that minor topic in addition to this because it should really be mentioned if it's part of the workflow. So thanks for tuning in, and going forward, I believe this is the last episode of season 12 Hysteria. Season 12 Retribution.